And we are live. Welcome back, everyone. If you have been here for Batch Content Day, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is episode 8, and this is the longest I've ever done batch content. And would I recommend it after doing it all day? Absolutely. It is going to free up your time like you wouldn't believe. And so it's definitely my recommendation. I want to tell you today about a master esthetician with over 22 years of experience. Her name is Shunry MacQuarrie. And for years, she worked in her treatment room, serving clients with sensitive skin, post pregnancy skin issues, and adult acne. Many of them women of color, and she was deeply frustrated. She saw them spending a fortune on complex, multi step routines and expensive creams, only to end up with irritated, unbalanced skin. She knew there had to be a better way. That frustration became the spark for a brand, Shunly Skincare, and a revolutionary philosophy. Today, we are deconstructing her journey from esthetician to founder to uncover the single most powerful asset that can transform your practice, an authentic problem solving founder's story. So, first, we're going to do some quality check. There we go. And looks good. Not sure how I feel about this lighting. But if you're here, when you pop in, make sure you say hello in the comments. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kimberly, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and the founder of the Alliance of Cosmetic Nurse Practitioners, a professional membership for nurse practitioners who specialize in cosmetics and entrepreneurship, who want to have something on the side or build an empire. We pick up where your program leaves off, whether that's a weekend course, on-demand training, or you go back to school, because your first question is never your last question. And when you have a question, where are you going to go? We hope you come here to the Alliance so we can hold your hand from not only having your own ideas, but helping you discover new ones and taking that from ideation, what's in your head, to creation, something that exists in real time, and implementing that. And not just the implementation, but the evaluation and tweaking it to make sure that it becomes its fullest potential. Because our first idea, the first iteration of our business is never going to be the final one. It's always going to be evolving, just like we're going to always be evolving, which is why our number one recommendation is just get started right now. So I see you're here. Make sure you say hi in the comments. Before we get started, we're going to start with our prayer. God, no matter what happens, you're a firm foundation. You're my source of strength. You overwhelm my fears with your love. With you, all things are possible. So again, I place my hope in you. Even when things around me seem to be crumbling, I will not be afraid, for my future is secure with you. You're always good. You're always trustworthy. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so let's talk about Shunry, who I had the pleasure of meeting when I went to the Learn Skin Conference in Arizona in August. So her story didn't start with a desire to sell products at all, right? It started with a deep empathy for her clients' pain, something that you all can relate to as nurses and nurse practitioners. That is unavoidable. She saw firsthand that the conventional beauty wisdom, more products, more moisturizer, it wasn't working. It was a broken model. Her why was born directly from this clinical frustration. This is a profound lesson. So many of us start our practices by asking, what services can I offer? Shunry started by asking, what is the fundamental problem my clients are facing that no one else is solving? We saw this a couple episodes ago when we talked about Emma Grede, the brains behind the billion-dollar pitch for Skims and Good American with the Kardashians. She also didn't think about what can I create. She thought about whose needs aren't being met. What problem can I solve? That's what I want you to do. What problem can you solve? Because there's hundreds of problems. Botox and filler just solve some of them. There are so many problems. And in the upcoming weeks, we're going to delve deeper into that. By the time you watch this, I think you can head over to the Mahogany Dermatology blog. We're going to be breaking down some other ways you can be in the cosmetics industry. I've already talked about innovative ways you can practice dermatology on this channel, so you can check that out in the playlist. But on the blog, we're going to look at the differences and similarities between being a cosmetic NP, a cosmetic chemist, and a chemical engineer. I'm so excited about that. So With Shunri, her why was born directly from this clinical frustration, right? This is a lesson for so many of us. Her answer was the industry's obsession with stripping the skin and then slathering it with moisturizers. It was disrupting the skin's natural pH balance that estheticians know like the back of their hand. Her journey led to her philosophy of J beauty, right? Japanese beauty. Simplicity, gentle yet effective ingredients, and the ritual of care. Her brand was born not to follow a trend, but to solve a specific observed problem for a specific group of people. This is the same thing we're doing, right? We're not creating followers, we're creating founders here at the Alliance. J Beauty, very similar to K Beauty or Korean Beauty. A couple episodes ago, we talked about Peachy and Lily, a K Beauty brand behind the phenomena glass skin. There we saw that she did use a multi-step regimen, but she packaged it into focusing on the transformation, that glass skin. And by doing that, she was able to create loyalty, get people to focus on buying into the whole house of their whole catalog so that they can maintain that glass skin. It wasn't a one-time encounter or experience. It was a transformation and an investment that they really set them up to see was really valuable. This is really my first time kind of getting into the whole K beauty, J beauty trends, but mostly I just hear K beauty. And so I'm really actually excited to talk to you about J Beauty and this brand because I am now a customer. Okay. So the lesson in this for you is your most powerful business idea is not in a textbook. Your lived experience, you cannot Google. I tell you this all the time, especially if you're new and you're thinking you need another degree, another certification, 5 more years of experience, someone to validate you, 10,000 followers, all these boxes. You don't need any of that because you're coming with lived experience. And every day that you wake up, you bring more experience to the table that we can't Google. I cannot relate to your story. Although I might have similar experiences, your story is your story. You're the master of your story. I tell my patients, we know all this information from books and research, but you are the expert when it comes to your body and you need to own that. And so I give them a lot of confidence and encouragement to be part of this team, to be part of the decision making. In nursing, we call that shared decision making. Okay, so so outside of the textbook, you bring a lot of value, and even those textbooks, most of the time they're 10 years old by the time they get published. And again, you still need to have a critical lens. What's in the book? Who wrote it? Why did they write it? Who were they writing it for? And who wasn't talked to in that book? You can fill that gap. Okay. So the answer that you're looking for, the idea, it's sitting in your treatment room. It is the complaint you hear from your patients over and over again. Your why is not about you, it's about them. When you can change your messaging to the benefit for the reader, the listener, the viewer, you're going to get loyal clients and you're going to get more money in your pocket. Your founder's story is the story of how you became obsessed with solving their problem. I tell you this all the time. Find a problem that people are already looking for a solution and then obsess over it. There's hundreds of them. Just find one you can obsess over because you're going to talk about it a lot. When you do batch content day, you need lots of water so you don't lose your voice. You're here. I see you. Let us know in the comments. What's your favorite K or J beauty brand? So let's look at the philosophy and how your story becomes your product. Now, once Shunri identified the problem, her philosophy became the solution. That's a sign that it's time for me to eat. Okay, so she developed a revolutionary no moisturizer needed approach. You heard me. She does not promote moisturizer. Instead, she focuses on restoring the skin's pH balance with serum-based oil-free formulations. Her products, the 3 Skincare Act, which she trademarked, this is not revolutionary. You come up with an idea, 3 Skincare Acts, glass skin, and you just keep saying it over and over. You own it the minute you decide to own it. Trademark it, copyright it, do whatever you want. You don't need permission for that. The 3 Skincare Acts of prevention, protection, and correction. And not just a collection of ingredients. They're the physical manifestation of her core belief, which you have to start with, your why. The simplicity of the routine is the product. The gentle, effective result is the product. The philosophy is the product. This is a masterclass for us as entrepreneurs. Your philosophy must be evident in every single detail of your practice. If your philosophy is about empowered aging, does your consultation process reflect that? Or are you just pointing out wrinkles? If your philosophy is about holistic wellness, does your waiting room feel like a serene sanctuary or does it feel like a sterile clinic? Shunri's success comes from the perfect alignment between her story, her philosophy, and her product. Your success will come when your patient experience is a perfect reflection of your why. That's why when we ask you, what do you do? Who do you do it for? Why does it matter? It can't be everyone. You know that when you try to help everyone, you end up helping no one. It needs to be specific. The person you're talking to needs to know you're talking to them or they're going to look elsewhere. That's why the niching becomes so important. How well do you know me and my problem, right? So let us know in the comments what's the single biggest frustration you hear from your patients every single day. That is where your next great idea is hiding. So before we do our takeaways, it's show and tell. This is show and tell episode. So I had the pleasure of meeting Shunri at the conference. She told me, I asked about her story. So this is the thing about the entrepreneur. They're always going to, because you have your pitch. You don't know how long you have the person in front of you. So of course they come out telling you about how great their product is and the transformation you're going to get. But at this conference, and I didn't have a strategy for this conference, although I always recommend that for you. But during sabbatical, that's part of the sabbatical, not having a strategy, just being present, almost being invisible. I like to go at least one conference a year where I'm really just there to absorb information. And this was that time. But I did find myself really interested in the entrepreneur's story, probably because of an upcoming series we have planned. But it was really fascinating. It was so nice to see them talk about their story. Not only at the conference, we went out in town. They had they were celebrating Tucson's 250th anniversary at one event. And then at another event, they have like Old Tucson, which is like an old Western set for movies, but they turned into an amusement park. And that night in particular, it was free because they were promoting or getting people to buy like their season packages. Anyway, there was a lady selling. So all day long, I was telling my mom I wanted popcorn. The minute we get in there, we see a popcorn stand. I asked the lady about some of the popcorn, but then I was curious. Yeah, so I was asking her about her popcorn, and then I started talking business, like giving her suggestions or something, and then she asked me what was my story. She's like, because it sounds like you know business. Long story short, guess what? She's a nurse. Everywhere I go, people are nurses. Before I left here and we went to dinner, our waitress, really nice young lady, at the end of dinner, we're almost out the door. I just say, hey, what are you working on? Because we know this isn't it, right? We know her end goal isn't being a waitress. And she said, nursing. She's here from Mexico by herself and she wants to go into nursing. When I was at Sephora getting makeup, two separate people helping me, both of them wanted to go to nursing. It's everywhere. Anyway, so then at that same like amusement park, the Western Old Tucson, there was a lady selling Rice Krispie treats. Now, before we could talk to her, there was a guy talking a lot. And I don't know, something about her rang nurse. And when we talked to her and heard about her story, she was a nurse too. And so y'all are everywhere. You're everywhere doing amazing things. Now, the lady who made the Rice Krispie treat, she's making Rice Krispie treats for like 16 years, okay? And they're not your regular Rice Krispie treat. They're totally decorated and elevated to a whole new experience. I didn't eat them, but my mom did. Actually, I'm so grateful. She supported both of them with her dollars, buying the popcorn, buying the Rice Krispie treat, and she enjoyed both of them. But shout out to those ladies doing something a little bit different. I loved it. And the lady, I think her name was Ashley, who had the popcorn, she actually had a pink, it was like an ice cart on wheels, but it was pink. And I know that's a whole story by itself, but because it's Tucson, it was hot, okay? And so that was a way for her to keep her treats cooled down. Anyway, I don't even remember why I went that direction, but so the stories, everywhere I went, I was asking people their stories, and Shunli was no different. I asked her story, and she was so delighted to tell it. Actually, they would actually thank me. They would say, thank you for asking. And she did that a lot because I was asking her how her products compare to some of the bigger ones, like SkinCeuticals, which she was able to answer immediately. So you can't be afraid of your competition. You need to be well versed. She knew their product formulation like the back of her hand, and that was and there was a number of things that made me want to get her product, but that helped a lot. I asked a lot of questions. One thing we learned from the conference was that when you're thinking about products, sometimes people will just test ingredients that are well known, right? Like a vitamin C, and they'll put it in their product. But so you can ask that question: did you just test the ingredients, or did you test the final formulation? So once it's all mixed together, and then those results, and are they willing to share those results? So I did ask a lot of those questions. So anyway, esthetician, she wanted to create her own products. This is Shunly. And like I mentioned in the review, I did a review of Learn Skin a couple episodes back in the Aesthetic and NP Entrepreneur playlist. This was the first derm conference I went to where you could buy stuff. And so it was great, because most of the time it's there so you can write these prescriptions for your clients. But here they were talking to us too about things we can buy for ourselves. And I don't know, it was just, I think I really liked that a lot. And so she had travel. And so not only was I a customer, but I was also, an entrepreneur. And so you're going, and they all called it a trade show. They called the conference a trade show. And so you're thinking about, okay, logistically, I have to pack all these supplies. I don't want to waste anything. And I want to be able to provide something that has the most value, right? That I can still make money. So she had her little travel kits. This was in her travel kit, and it came in a really nice packaging. And these are typically, actually, I can tell you. So this is probably like a little bit under $100. This is, what do you call this? I can't remember what the SE stands for. It's not seaweed extract. I should look this up while we're talking. Anyway, this is apple skin stem cells, tissue repair. It's her fusion formula, which she did copyright, and it has SE hyaluronic acid and the fruit cells. So this came in there. This is her, let's do it in the right order. So this is her AHA Deep Gel Cleanser. It has AHA and BHA in it. Then you follow that with a toner. She has 2 different toners on her website. This one comes in the travel kit. These are the travel kit. And so the toner is the PHQ-10 Oxy toner, but she has another one. I can't remember what that one is. I think she had recommended that one for blemishes or acne. And then this one with the stem cells. And yeah, she doesn't believe in creams putting on the skin because she believes they just sit on the skin. They don't get absorbed. So that's one philosophy. And then she's really big into toner, which I know in the derm world, I've heard 50-50 whether they think it's necessary or not. But I've heard more estheticians really preach that philosophy. And as far as I'm concerned, they really know their ingredients, right? Compared to what we learn. And so I really trust them. And so this altogether was like $45. But normally when you buy the full size package, this is like $80 something. And these are kind of around the same price for the full size, which is 8 ounces, I want to say. And this is actually I think this is the travel size, because I bought this little kit. Well, she only had a handful. Either she only had a handful or she said she only had a handful to create that urgency. And then I bought the full size of this one, which is vitamin B3, B5, and peptides, and a hydrogel. And this was probably around 80. They're all around the same, like 80, 90, something like that. Yeah. And then she has so I've been using this this is week 3, but I just yesterday bought the full size of the cleanser, the toner, and her vitamin C, which has other vitamins in it too. And at the conference, I heard more than one person talk about the importance of making sure your vitamin C has additional vitamins in it. And so she was someone else who had mentioned that. And so I got hers, and I asked her specifically how her product compares to SkinCeuticals ferulic acid. And she gave an answer that convinced me. Now, the urgency is what really made me want to buy this. And then when she was talking to someone else about the different products, she mentioned this one was really good for acne. This is a collagen. This stimulates collagen. This one, the full size one. So my own story. So, I was all year long, I've been in the Your Biggest Launch Ever with my business sales coach, Jasmine Starr. And I pivoted around early March. My April, I was, in the middle of launching my business. My skin was having its own launch. Every week since April, I've had acne followed by hyperpigmentation. I love the sun. I'm a sun baby. I'm literally out there every day in peak sunlight, riding my bike. I do wear lots of sunscreen, sunglasses, hat, the long sleeves, everything. But I love the sun. I just love it. And it hasn't been, it's not, it's tough when you're trying to clear up the hyperpigmentation and avoid the sun. I don't do a good job of it. And I just decided to embrace it. And I figured I'll fix all the hyperpigmentation when we get into the fall. But it has improved. It has improved. I still use my prescription from Leah, who's out there at Reston Dermatology. She should be back now from her maternity leave. And that has, I've done so many videos on that prescription. Sometimes I'll use a hyaluronic acid, hydroquinone, and then other times we'll use what I have right now, which is kojic, azelaic. There might be, I think there's one more thing in there. Tranexamic. That's a little combination. So, and what I loved about Shunri was that once I told her what my issues were, which she also looked at my skin and she told me what my issues were, and what I was using, she said that she actually wasn't trying to convince me to change the cleanser. She actually said that. She said, you don't actually have to change your cleanser if you like it. But every week since April, my skin has literally been breaking out. Sometimes it even feels active, But since using these products, I'm not getting paid. She doesn't even know I'm making this video. And I'm actually glad that I've been able to use it for 3 weeks before I even came and told you. Every week since I've been using these products, I haven't had any breakouts, which is amazing. Because before April, I didn't have any issues. My skin was great. And now I wish I had appreciated it more. But the hyperpigmentation, I used to talk about my neck. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I think that has a separate playlist. When I first started YouTube, I used to talk about my skin, about the hyperpigmentation on my neck and how Leah approved me for laser. But then I moved here, started the business, and now I'm in all this sun. So the plan is there's an esthetician who I picked out. I'm going to go see her. But I figured if I was willing to invest in that esthetician who's going to do one service here and maybe in another 6 weeks, whatever the plan is, then I should be willing to invest in skincare that I can use every single day. That was also part of the rationale. And so because my skin has been doing amazing, it's so hydrated, it probably was one of the biggest problems, hydration, which goes back to her point that those moisturizers are just sitting on the skin. And we spend pretty good money on some skincare that have been recommended by dermatologists. With her philosophy, and I was skeptical too. I was like, there's no way this product's going to be enough to moisturize my skin, but she's 100% accurate. It's so gentle, and I don't know why, but once I started using this, I just really took the time to really put it in my skin more than I was before, but also because I've been wearing this makeup to cover up all the hyperpigmentation. So I take a lot more time to cleanse my skin. And it's just so soothing. But I'm just such a fan that I went ahead and made the investment. And I told her, now that I've met you, I've heard your story. I'm already spending a lot of money on skincare to begin with, but now I have a personal connection with someone. I'd rather just support you, right? Another woman, another person of color, another entrepreneur, another person in the beauty space. And so I'm happy to bring these products to you and keep you up to date on my progress. And so, yeah, I bought these two, which the tracking says 5 days from now. So I'll keep you updated on the shipping. And I bought these two. I still have so much left of the stem cells. So I didn't replace that one, but I will. When it runs out, I will definitely keep this in rotation. I'll keep the collagen in rotation. And then, of course, I bought her vitamin C. So she also has a philosophy, which I've heard I've heard on social media, I just hadn't gotten into it, was rotating your products, which I guess is what a lot of estheticians really practice. And so, like I said, we're doing a lot of learning over there at the Alliance. when it comes to what dermatologists learn, what nurses, advanced practice nurses learn, and estheticians. We're combining all of that expertise so that our members can really be experts in skin, no matter what setting or practice, because the skin is everywhere. And so I'm on a rotation now. And so on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I use that fading cream. And I don't know if I'm gonna keep using it. I'm gonna go see the esthetician, and I guess we'll figure out what the plan is after that. But I think I need to take a break. So I'm glad that I'm on the little new schedule. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do that one. On Sundays, I do the collagen. On Tuesdays, I do the stem cells. Thursday, the collagen. Saturday, the stem cells, and then I just rotate. And on her website, she gives you like a little thing. And she says you don't have to use all her products, and certainly don't start with all of them. If you're going to do it, add one at a time. And so, yeah, this will be my regimen plus the vitamin C. And then we'll go on a little rotation. But man, I'm just so grateful for her. My skin is amazing. And when we talk, the whole idea was you can go into them and talk to them about their research. And she had pictures of her actual clients. It was either 30 days or 3 months. It was, pretty short window. I feel like it was 30 days. I almost feel like it was 30 days, and I was really impressed with that. And so, and that just based on how my skin feels, I could see that happening. But I took pictures this morning, I think, and I've taken pictures over this year, just mesmerized at how horrible my skin was looking. But I took pictures yesterday so that I can track my progress. So I'll keep you updated. But I hope you check out her products and support her and other estheticians in the space. So much of the group chat is a lot of kind of back and forth, and we can see that it's not really a space that's loving and welcoming just by how many people are posting in there anonymously. We all want the same thing. So many estheticians are going into nursing. So many nurses are going to esthetician school so they can do facials and things like that. We all want the same thing. We're all helping the same people. And I'm delighted to support a brand founded by an esthetician. It's not my first time. We've brought other products created. And actually, the hair product we're using right now, the Dew, Doux. I'm using the shampoo. My Love Bug has like a mousse and maybe a gel. But the shampoo, absolutely love. It's actually been wonderful. It's been better than some of the other products I was using that were like tea tree based and clarifying ones. Because ever since I locked my hair, I had seborrheic dermatitis, which we'll be talking about more throughout the residency, and how common that is amongst communities of color, particularly our CCCA patients. So yeah, I've really struggled with my scalp. Well, I don't struggle anymore. I figured it out, but it's still an issue. It's not like a cure, so you have to maintain that regimen. But this shampoo in particular, I've noticed a noticeable difference, but we'll save that for another video for another day. I thank you so much for your support. And I'm just proud of myself. 8 episodes. 2 brainstorming sessions. Shout out to those of you who joined me on a brainstorming session today. I learned a whole lot more. I have a much greater appreciation for vitamin D. There's a whole book like this just about vitamin D. Can't wait to talk about it more. Can't wait to learn about it more and how it, especially in the world of dermatology, that and autism. So I thank you all for watching. I appreciate your support. You can send us questions right here in the chat. You can message us on Mahogany Dermatology blog. We invite you to go check out our new Mahogany Dermatology Nursing bookstore, where we're putting resources in there to help you in and outside of clinical practice. That is all we're here to do, to help you live the life you work so hard for. I'm going to go celebrate, and I'll see you in 2 months for another batch content day. But I'll be on the internet somewhere. Bye.